A new phase of the war with Iran could involve one of the most dangerous missions yet. According to officials familiar with the discussions, the United States and Israel have explored the possibility of sending special forces into Iran to secure the country's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, as per Axios report. The material is considered one of the biggest concerns in the conflict. Iran currently possesses roughly 450 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity, a level that experts say could be converted into weapons-grade material within weeks. Preventing Tehran from developing a nuclear weapon has been one of President Donald Trump's key objectives in the war, but securing that uranium may require boots on the ground. Axios reported any mission to seize or neutralize the material would likely involve American or Israeli special operations units entering Iranian territory and navigating heavily fortified underground nuclear facilities. The officials said such an operation would only be considered once Iran's military capabilities are sufficiently weakened and unable to threaten the forces involved. Behind the scenes, the issue has already surfaced in Washington. During a congressional briefing, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio acknowledged that the uranium would eventually have to be secured. Rubio told lawmakers that people are going to have to go and get it, though he did not specify which forces would carry out the mission. Sources say the Trump administration has discussed multiple options. The report said one scenario would involve removing the enriched uranium entirely from Iranian territory. Another possibility would reportedly see nuclear scientists brought into the country to dilute the uranium on site, rendering it unusable for weapons. Any such operation would likely involve not only special forces, but also nuclear experts, while adding that this possibly includes specialists from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the global watchdog responsible for monitoring nuclear programs. Officials familiar with the discussions say these operations were already part of a list of military options presented to the president before the war began. President Trump has not ruled out deploying ground forces for specific missions. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, he said troops could be sent in if there was a compelling reason. However, he emphasized that any such operation would only take place after Iran's military had been severely weakened. Trump has suggested that if that point were reached, Iranian forces would be too damaged to mount a meaningful ground resistance. Beyond the uranium stockpile, officials say the United States has also considered another strategic target. One option reportedly discussed inside the administration is seizing Kharg Island, the terminal responsible for nearly 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Such a move would strike directly at the backbone of Iran's energy economy. Meanwhile, the war has already caused significant damage to Iran's nuclear infrastructure. U.S. and Israeli strikes earlier in the conflict targeted major facilities including Natanz and Isfahan. Officials say many of Iran's centrifuges were destroyed and entrances to some underground sites were sealed during the attacks. According to U.S. and Israeli assessments, most of Iran's enriched uranium is now believed to be buried inside underground tunnels at the nuclear complex in Isfahan, with smaller portions located at Fordow and Natanz. Despite the damage, the stockpile itself remains a major concern. Experts say if the entire 450 kilograms were enriched further to 90% purity, it could theoretically produce enough material for more than 10 nuclear weapons. For now, officials stress that any ground operation being considered would be limited and highly targeted. This would not resemble a large-scale invasion. Instead, sources describe the discussions as focusing on small special operations raids designed to secure strategic materials rather than occupy territory. But even a limited mission would carry enormous risks.
Fully prepared for at least a 6-month war at the current pace. That is the warning coming from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. An IRGC spokesperson says Tehran has deliberately held back many of its most advanced weapons and has not yet used missiles manufactured in the past decade. According to the IRGC spokesperson, most of the missiles used so far in the ongoing conflict were produced between 2012 and 2014. Iranian officials say this means the country's newer missile systems, developed over the last 10 years, remain largely untouched and could potentially be deployed in later phases of the war.
In terms of weaponry, strategy, and tactics, we possess the initiative. We have an arsenal of heavy missiles, including ballistic and cruise missiles, various types of drones, and offensive vessels. All these are designed and prepared for a widespread war, an all-out conflict, a prolonged engagement.
It has been provided.
Our capable and mighty armed forces, the powerful Islamic Republic, possess complete and full readiness, at a minimum, to engage in a full-scale, high-intensity war that could last for at least 6 months, maintaining this very current operational rhythm and pace. The missiles that we have utilized up to this point are primarily from the first and second generations. They were predominantly manufactured in the years 1991, 92, and 93, and in the last 10 years we have absolutely not utilized any of the newly produced items, despite the fact that production in recent years has multiplied several times over. Between the 12-day war and the Ramadan war, several years' worth of missiles were produced.
The warning comes as Iran continues its retaliatory campaign against U.S. military facilities across the Middle East. Iranian forces have launched missile and drone strikes following the large-scale U.S. and Israeli attacks on Iranian territory that began on February 28th. In one of the latest incidents, Iran reportedly carried out an attack on the U.S. Al-Udiri helicopter base in Kuwait. Initial military assessments suggest a limited number of missiles were fired during the strike, though the full extent of damage remains unclear. The attack followed earlier Iranian strikes targeting American military infrastructure in the Gulf, including a reported assault on a U.S. naval facility in Bahrain. These back-to-back operations indicate that Tehran may be pursuing a sustained strategy aimed at pressuring U.S. forces stationed throughout the region. The wider conflict began when the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iranian targets, an operation that Iranian officials say killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and several senior military commanders. Tehran has since vowed to respond with what it calls decisive retaliation.
News never stops. The world keeps turning, and every turn tells a story. Wars, elections, geopolitics, Davids versus Goliaths.
While everyone is celebrating the US-China trade thaw, Trump has been quietly doing something else across Asia.
These were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting east and west.
But who's connecting the dots? Who's decoding the global storm? Welcome to Times of India videos.
You're watching a special edition of Global Pulse with me, Neha Khanna.
בהנחיה שלי ושל שר הביטחון ישראל כץ.
Durante este año,
We decode the shifting grains of geopolitics to you. From Washington to Wuhan.
Встановлені домовленості і сьогодні підписуюча
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Just 2 years ago, Canada was one of the most popular countries for Indian students.
From Davos to Delhi, we track the decisions that move markets, shift policies, and shape the future. No jargon, no bias, just clear, credible, global journalism. Because understanding the world doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be smart. And that's what we do best. At Times of India videos, we don't just tell stories, we build perspective. We connect the dots between what's global and what's personal, what's happening out there, and what it means for you. It's fast, it's fearless, It's making sense of the changing world order. Times of India videos. Because your worldview is just a tap away.